Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Trinadapi Sunichena Tarar Ivasahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if there's any message for me, please put it in the chat box and I'll address it accordingly. Let us begin. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we begin chapter 10 of Bhagavad-gita entitled Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti means special opulence. So Prabhupada entitles this chapter 10, Opulence of the Absolute. And as you've heard me say many times, the absolute truth is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdyate. The absolute truth is one entity, but understood in three distinct features. First realization, all-pervasive spiritual energy known as Brahman. Second feature, Param Atma, God in everyone's heart. And the ultimate feature of the absolute truth, Bhagavan, the possessor of all opulences unlimitedly and simultaneously. And there are many different Bhagavans, but Purna Bhagavan, the original Bhagavan, the source of all other Bhagavans, is the speaker of Bhagavad-gita, Sri Krishna. Verses 1 through 7 I entitle Knowledge That is Better Than Before. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhuya Eva Mahabaho Sri Nume Paramang Vacha Yete Hang Priyamanaya Bhakshyami Hitakamyaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. So again, Krishna is reminding us what he told Arjuna in chapter 4. Why did Arjuna become the recipient of Bhagavad-gita? Bhaktosi me Saka Cheti. Arjuna was Krishna's friend and Krishna's devotee. And now the knowledge is becoming even better. Name vidur suragana pravavang na maharshayaha aham adirhi devanang maharshinang chasarvasha. Neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. So this is significant. There are many places in Bhagavad-gita where Krishna asserts his superiority over everything. I pointed out in chapter 7 where Krishna said, Mattak parataram nanyat. There is no truth superior to me, Krishna said. But there are many places in Bhagavad-gita where Krishna establishes himself as the supreme. And here is yet another reference. Yomam ajam manadingcha veti loka maheshwaram asamuda samartyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. One who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds. Only that person, undiluted among men, is freed from all sins. So just understanding Krishna as the supreme frees you from all sins. Buddhirgyanam asamoha kshama satyang dhamma shama sukam dukang bhavo bhavo bhayam chabhayam evacha ahimsa samata tushtas tapodanang yasho yasha bhavanti bhava bhutanang mata eva pritag vidha. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, nonviolence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. So this is one way of understanding the absolute truth. Everything comes from the absolute truth. Everything is sustained by the absolute truth. And in the end, everything will enter the absolute truth. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastata madbhava manasa jata yeshang loka ima praja. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Etang vibhuting yogang cha mama yo veti tatvataha so vikalpena yogena yujyate natra sangshaya. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. So 2 things here. The conclusion of devotional service, which is repeated throughout Gita. Krishna wants everyone to engage in bhakti, devotional service. You're doing the first of the 9 items, Shravanam, hearing. Always remember, your spiritual life begins by hearing. Then everything else follows. And why do we study Bhagavad-gita? To become convinced of Krishna's opulence and mystic power. And by becoming convinced, we begin to surrender. The next verses, 8 through 11, is what Prabhupada calls the 4 seed or nutshell verses of Bhagavad-gita. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the famous Chatushloki, the original 4 verses of knowledge spoken by Narayan to Lord Brahma at the dawn of creation. With those 4 verses known as Chatushloki, Lord Brahma had all the necessary knowledge to engineer the creation of the universe. So Prabhupada says, just as there are these 4 original verses of Bhagavatam, here are the 4 nutshell or seed verses of Bhagavad-gita. Number 8, Ahang sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mang buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. And the wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Again, everything comes from Krishna. That is the meaning of absolute truth. Whether it be spiritual or material, Krishna says, everything emanates from him. And if you know that perfectly, then you are Buddha, wise, intelligent. And the proof that you have understood is that you engage in Krishna's devotional service. And how do you worship him? With all your heart. As I always explain to the Christians, in their own Bible it is stated, Jesus, the Son of God, was asked, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus said, love God, not himself. Jesus said, love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. So who is that God that Jesus is referring to? Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That is how I preach to the Christians. That God Jesus is referring to is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Please take that and be secure in the knowledge that Krishna is the supreme, and worship Krishna with all your heart. Second of the Chatushloki, Machchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayantak Parasparam Katayantaschamang Nityang Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So here are the symptoms of what it is to be a pure devotee. There are many different levels of devotees. In the Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila tells his mother, there are 81 kinds of mixed or impure devotees. They're devotees, but they're not pure devotees. There are 81. Why 81? 3 modes of nature mixed by 3, and then mixed again gets 81. So according to motivated or devotees mixed with material desires, you have 81. But then there is the pure devotee. And here are the symptoms of the pure devotee. Number 1, always thinks of Krishna. The devotee's life is dedicated to serving Krishna. And when devotees come into contact with other devotees, they talk about Krishna. That's the symptom. So if you're looking for a good friend, find somebody who also likes to talk about Krishna. That will be your best friend. Find that person who also likes to talk about Krishna. Now comes verse number 10. Teshang satadayuktanang brajatang pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The Sanskrit word dadami is in the first person. Krishna says, I give, dadami, I give what? Buddhi yoga. The specific intelligence. Where does it come? From within. Krishna's in your heart. And when you reach the stage of being an unalloyed devotee, Krishna directly instructs you from within how to return to him. Here you see Prabhupada's picture. Today is Prabhupada's disappearance anniversary. He disappeared on November 14th, 1977. So since then, every year, we remember Prabhupada on this day. So, one time, Prabhupada was being interviewed in New York by a newspaper. And the newspaper man asked Prabhupada, well, how do you decide what to do next and how to build temples, and how do you decide? And Prabhupada's disciple, secretary, he answered for Prabhupada. And he gave some answer that Prabhupada uses his intelligence. And Prabhupada cut him off. No! I make my decisions because Krishna directly tells me in my heart how to proceed. That's the pure devotee. He gets direct inspiration from Krishna from within. That is my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Final verse of this nutshell for Chatushloki. Tesham evanukam partam aham agyana jangtamaha nashayam yatma bhavasto jnana deepena basvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. The opening shloka I chant every program now. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. That prayer says, I was born in the darkness of ignorance. So here Krishna, he dispels the darkness of ignorance in our hearts with the shining lamp of knowledge. First, we have to learn Bhagavad-gita. We cannot jump to this platform and think that Krishna is speaking to me directly in the heart. No. You cannot jump to that platform. You have to earn that platform. Krishna is there in the heart. Krishna is giving knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. But that platform that Prabhupada was referring to, that Krishna directly tells me, that is not something ordinary. That is special. To get to that stage, you have to study Bhagavad-gita daily. And you have to perform devotional service daily. So that one day you will be on that platform where Krishna is directly speaking to you. You've heard me say sometimes, I make a joke. Oh, I got a text message from Krishna. That's a joke I do. Meaning, I got some inspiration from Krishna. But I'm not on that platform that Prabhupada is at, where Krishna is directly speaking to him in his heart. To get to that stage, you have to perform lots of devotional service, lots of chanting, and lots of daily studying of Bhagavad-gita to come to the pure platform. Next section, verses 12 through 18. Arjuna accepts Krishna as God and requests to see his opulences. Arjuna uvacha parang brahma parang dhamma pavitrang paramang bhavan purushang shasvatam divyam adidevam ajang vibhum ahushtvam rishayat sarve devarshir naradas tatha asito devalo vyasa swayang chaiva bravishime. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So now at this point, after hearing these 4 nutshell verses of the Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna is accepting Krishna as God. You are the ultimate abode. You are the purest. You are the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person. You are the unborn, the greatest of the great. And all the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyas confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me. So here is another turning point of Bhagavad-gita. The first turning point I mentioned in chapter 2. In chapter 1 and in the beginning of chapter 2, Arjuna was confused, bewildered, lamenting, did not know what he should do. But in that verse 7 of chapter 2, the first turning point of Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna said to Krishna, "Shisyaste hang shadi mang prapanam." Now I am your disciple. I am surrendered. You kindly instruct me. That was the turning point. Only then did Krishna start to instruct Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna. Now another turning point. Arjuna is finally accepting Krishna as the absolute truth, God himself. Sarvam etad ritang manye yanmang vadasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidurdeva nadanava. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. For neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Now, here 2 things are important. Because Arjuna now accepts Krishna as God, everything Krishna says, Arjuna is going to accept as truth. We should aspire to reach this same stage. We should come to the stage where we say to Krishna, I totally accept everything you say as truth. Now, when he says here, neither the demigods nor the demons can understand your personality, it is because they are not pure devotees. The demigods are devotees, but they're not pure devotees. They are tinged with material desires. And because of that, they are unable to understand Krishna totally. The demigods certainly understand so much about Krishna, but not to the same degree as a pure devotee can understand. Because only to the pure devotee does Krishna fully reveal himself. Swayam evatmanatmanang Vaitattvang Purushottama Bhuttabhavana Bhutesha Deva Deva Jagatpate. I love this. Deva Deva. I love this line. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. Yes, God can only be understood by means of the internal spiritual potency, not by means of the material potency. O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods. Yes, Deva Deva, I love this name. God of all other gods. O Lord of the universe, Jagat Pate. I love how Arjuna is praising Krishna. Vaktum arhasya sheshena divya hiyatma vibhutaya yabir vibhuti bir lokan imang strang vapya tishtasi. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. So now Arjuna is requesting something. He wants to see how Krishna's opulences can be understood in terms of the material energy. He's on that platform. He wants to see, Krishna, how are your opulences displayed in terms of the cosmic manifestation? Katang vidya mahang yogins twang sada parichintayan keshu keshu chabadeshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? Yes, Arjuna wants to know how Krishna is to be remembered in terms of the material energy. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutang cha janardana bhuya kataya triptirhi srinvato nasti me mritam. Oh Janardan, this is personally one of my favorite names of Krishna, because my daughter named her son Janardan Baladev. And I always liked that name, Janardan. And I was so happy when my daughter named her son Janardan. I felt so happy. Oh Janardan, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. So this is something which is a symptom of spiritual subject matters. They are ever fresh. Say you have a song that you like, a material song. All right, you can listen to it 1, 2, 3, but after a while you get tired. You want a new song. But that's because it's material. And anything material is limited and temporary. The pleasure you derive from anything in the material world will have a satiation point. For instance, let's say you like to eat gulab jamuns. All right, you can eat 1, 2, 3, 4, but 10 gulab jamuns? No more. Because you've reached the point of satiation. So, when it comes to spiritual things, there is no satiation. You can read Bhagavad-gita day after day, year after year, and never get tired. Just like in a few minutes, we're going to sing the Dhammadarashtakam prayers. We do those prayers twice a day for a whole month, every year. And I never get tired of chanting those prayers and describing Damodar Leela. Next week will be our Damodar Leela program. So next week, we're going to finish this chapter 10. And then we're also going to hear the Damodar Leela So make sure you attend on time next week, because we're going to finish chapter 10, and we're also going to hear the Damodar Leela as it is explained in Krishna book, my favorite Krishna book. So please make sure you're on time next week. So the thing here is that spiritual subject matter is always fresh. I've read the Krishna book, 90 chapters, many times, and still it is enjoyable. And I know people who read Bhagavad-gita every day, and they never get tired of it. They've been reading it for 50 some odd years because it is spiritual. Just like this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. My father, when he was alive, my wife and I would visit him every year for Christmas. And after a few minutes, then my wife and I would begin japa. Because after a few minutes, how are you, how is what? After some minutes, there's nothing more to talk about. So my wife and I used to do japa. And my father would say, how you can say the same thing over and over, and every time, every year I would explain, or my wife would explain, you don't understand. This is not a material sound vibration. This is transcendental sound vibration, and you never get tired. But he could not appreciate. I tried to instruct him, but he couldn't pick up on it. Anyway, he heard the chanting, so he gets some benefit. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'm going to stop there. Now we're going to do the Damodarastakam prayers and the translation by me. And then we're going to do Hare Krishna Kirtan, as was requested by Sundar. So that will be happening now. Everybody chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one time. Jai. As I said, I sing these or I listen to this Damodarastakam prayer twice every day. Namamishwarang Sachit Ananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashona Biolukalan Davamanam Paramrishtam Atyantato Drutya Gopya Durdantang Mahurnetra Yugmamrijantang Karamboja Yugmena Satanka Netram Muhushvasa Kampa Trirekanka Kanta Stita Grivam Damodarang Bhakti Vadham Didrik Swalilabir Ananda Kunde Swagoshang Nimajantam Akyapayantam Dadiyeshitageshu Bhaktair Jitatvang Punak Prematpastang Shatavriti Vande Varandeva Mokshamna Mokshavadhingva Nachanyang Vrinehang Vareshata Piha Idang Deva Purnata Gopala Balang Sadame Manas Yavi Rastam Kimanyai Idang Te Mukam Bojam Adyanta Nilayar Vritang Kuntalai Snigda Raktaishja Gopya Muhushchumbitam bimba rakta darang me manasya virastam alam laksha labhai. Namo deva damodar ananta vishno prasida prabodhuka jalabdi magnam. Kripa dristi vrishyati dinang batanu grihanesha mam agyam edyakshi drishyaha. Uveratmajo badha murtyaiva yadvat tvaya mochitao bhakti bhajau kritau cha. Tatha prema bhakting swakang me prayacha namokshe grahomesti damoda reha. Namaste stu damne spuradipti damne twadiodarayata vishvasya damne. Namo radikayai tvadiya priyayai namo nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam. Namami Shradang Sachid Ananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Go Kule Rajamanam. Yashoda Biolukalat Navamanam Padam Rishtam Atyantato Drutya Gopya. Namo radikayai tvadiya priyayai namo nanta lilaya devaya tubhyam. Sri Damodar Ashtakam ki jai. I bow down to the Supreme Controller, whose form is composed of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, whose earrings play and swing, who is splendorously manifesting Gokula, but who, in fear of Mother Yashoda, gets down from the wooden rice-grinding mortar and runs away. However, the Gopi Sri Yashoda, very much quickly chasing after Krishna, catches him from the back. Crying again and again with very fearful eyes, rubbing those two eyes with his two lotus-like hands, again and again quickly breathing, sighing and trembling, thus moving the pearl necklace and other ornaments that are situated on Damodar's neck. And that neck is marked with 3 lines, just like a conch shell. I thus offer my humble obeisances unto Damodara with a rope around his belly. But he is not bound by any rope. He is bound only by pure loving devotion. Displaying childhood pastimes, such as this Damodara Leela and others, in this way, immersing his own family and the other residents of Gokula in a pool of bliss by such pastimes, Krishna is showing to those desirous of knowing his majesty, Damodar makes it known his quality of being conquered only by his loving devotees, who are devoid of such Aishvarya Jnana. And so again, with love and devotion, hundreds and hundreds of times, I praise Lord Damodar. O Lord, I do not pray for the boon of moksha, either as in personal liberation, or even the highest pinnacle of liberation, entering the realm of Sri Vaikuntha Loka, and nor do I want anything else from you. I know that you can bestow any boon, but O Lord, may this divine bodily form of yours, as a young cowherder boy here in Vrindavan, be ever manifest always in my heart. For what is the use of other things? Your lotus-like face, surrounded by locks of curling hair, which is very dark blue, soft and glossy, and tinted reddish. Your lotus-like face is also kissed again and again by your mother, Yashoda Devi, and her lips are red as the bimba fruit. And so in my heart, may all this be manifest, because there is no need for me to request the attainment of millions of other boons, which to me are simply useless. Be pleased, Deva, Divine Lord. Be pleased, Damodar, whose belly is bound with a rope. Be pleased, Ananta, O limitless Lord. Be pleased, Vishnu, O all-pervading Lord. Be pleased, Prabhu, my Master. Thus I bow down to you, but alas, I am immersed in a network of miseries in this material ocean of repeated birth and death. So please accept me and rain down your merciful glance upon this very fallen and ignorant fool. O supremely independent Lord, please become perceptible to my eyes. Later, the two sons of Kuvera, named Nalakuvara and Manigriva, were delivered by you, whose divine form was bound with ropes to the grinding mortar. And since they were cursed by Narada to take birth as twin Arjuna trees, they were liberated by you. And you also made them recipients of devotional service. O Lord Damodar, please give unto me your own loving devotion, for I do not have enthusiasm for liberation. Finally, obeisances to you, obeisances unto the rope around your waist, obeisances unto your splendorous effulgent abode, obeisances unto your splendorous belly, which is the shelter of the entire universe, obeisances unto Sri Radhika, who is your most beloved, obeisances unto your limitless sportive pastimes, obeisances unto your transcendental nature, obeisances unto you.